Hi, I'm Nina, and I want to thank you for watching my video. What I'd like to talk to you about today is about genealogy. I've been doing genealogy for the past 5, 6, 7 years, which is making me a beginner. I became very interested in it out of a couple of things that happened. First of all, the fact that my father-in-law is very much into genealogy and has successfully gone back to the 1400s on one part of his branch of his family tree. And he's gone back many generations, met many cousins, and has discovered a lot of interesting facts and has pieced together puzzles, and I want to do the same thing. Now, of course, with every family, there's slightly a different variation that would cause it to be easier or more complicated for others. Me being multi-ethnic, having black ancestry in America, and having been descendant of various groups, some of which are derived from slavery, I think that some people would say that my family tree might be more complicated, but actually, because that's just one very small part of my family, I have been able to find quite a bit. And surprisingly, because I have so much information, and because I have a definite line, and I know who my great-great-grandparents are by name, and I knew that before I did any investigation. I have been able to go pretty far back, and I've gone back to the 1700s on my maternal, paternal side, if you can follow that. I'm very proud of the fact that I've been able to do that. Now, on my Indian side, which is a lot of what I am, I haven't been able to go by many of the information that you find because you have to go to your elders in the community, in the tribal community, and I haven't done that as of recently. Now, as a child, I did speak to elders, and I did hear stories of my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents from the elders in the Choctaw community of this particular little group. It wasn't the whole Choctaw tribe, because, as you know, they branched off in these little families and little subgroups and all that. And my great-grandparents and my grandparents spoke the language, and they didn't, associate much with non-Choctaw people at the time. And then I have another part of my family that is English or European stock, and that's another branch in which I've been able to go back pretty far. And I have found some information, and I want to confirm it before I say it, that I have linked it to someone with a name, but it's a big name indirectly. It's someone who's married to someone who has a big name, but I'm not going to mention that person yet because I don't know for a fact, and I don't want to go full of myself. And I didn't go looking for it. It just kind of popped in by the circumstances in which I was researching. And then my other side, my Asian side, my Chinese ancestry, if you will, I have gone back only not very far, because my great-grandfather, I believe, he came here with maybe a brother or two, but he didn't have any of his parents or anyone that came here. So his entire ancestry pretty much stopped with him, started with him here, and his other ancestry is in China. So I haven't even gone there. I haven't even gone to that to look at that. That's just too much for me to know where to start. But anyway, he works on the railroad, so you know that whole story. You know how that happens, So anyway, but I want to tell you, when you do genealogy, no matter who you are or where you come from, if you are in America, I'm just assuming that, go for your census record. Go to ancestry.com perhaps and register. You can do free for like 14 days and then do whatever. You can get census records prior to 1940. 1940 census records have not been released yet. They are released every so often, and pretty much by the time you get to it, it's old news. The 1940 census records are what I really want, because I can find out an array of information that would answer a lot of questions, but right now I can't, and so I will just hold off until I can. And I'll give you the date on that some other time. I can't remember. Look in the birth and death indexes that the U.S. The government has, and know your surnames and know the correct spellings of them, because, like a name, for instance, Shepherd, for instance, there could be 3 or 4 different spellings of that, and just your forefathers changed the spelling of their name as they entered the U.S., and if so, was it really Shepherd at all? or did they come up with this name when they came here to avoid religious persecution, perhaps, or ethnic persecution? Know the full name of your parents. We all take that for granted, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know the actual birth or legal name of their parents. Know your parents' birth date, their marriage date, and their information about when they came to where they are and where they were born. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know. My husband didn't even know his own that actual birth date. He knew it was in March, but didn't know the actual date. And it's at only hundreds of miles from here. People just don't talk about those things. Now, my dad, of course, told me everything because in our family, age was never a secret. Age was never anything to be ashamed of, but that may be cultural. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's just the fact that no one thought it was important enough to talk about. Know your siblings' full name. I mean, that might sound silly, but there are many people that go by Vicky or Bobby or Susie, and they may not even be their first name, and they may have a middle name, or that may be their middle name and their first name they're not going by. Know those things. Know as much as you can about your family. What's the elders that you have? Write all the information down, and what you do is you compare what they say up against what you discover in the census records, which are pretty much almost foolproof, if you know what I mean. And most likely you'll have to find most of this information in the birth, records and all that, birth and marriage records and the death records, because the census records are probably not going to help you out much when it comes to your relatives that are living right now, because of the fact that 1940 census has not been released as of yet. Some of the census have been burns and fires, and some information has been lost. However, you can find a great amount of stuff. Remember, spellings of names can change from one census to the next. Know that this was done by hand, handwritten. Know that someone's ethnicity can change in 10 years. No, I'm not talking about like I'm going to be like white tomorrow, and 10 years from now I'm going to be like, not white or black or something like that. I'm talking about like going from being like colored to mulatto to being black. I mean, it just depends, because some people did not ask. They looked at you and thought, okay, you're not different, not white, you're this, or oh, you look a little bit, looks like you're mulatto. So there's a lot of things that's been going on there, because that happens in my case. I found a lot of different variations, and they were peculiar, but I know what's behind it. I know the story because I know my family and I know the ancestry. And as you know, you can see a child at 10, or I'm going to say like at 5, and then 10 years later they look completely different. Like my children, for instance, may have in certain settings they look one way, and then in another 10 years they can look more like another way. So maybe the census takers were doing that. Maybe they didn't ask. Maybe they assumed. And if the rest of the family looks one way, they kind of go with that. So anyway, let's do that. And when you do your census, make sure that you keep all the records and document everything, and have a notebook, and try to keep up with it, with your information, and get studying it, because you can go a long ways in a short time. I'll talk to you later. If you have any questions, ask. I'll be happy to answer them. Bye-bye.